infinite human beings. You are all that is, ever has been, and ever shall be. You are divine infinite love. You are divine infinite truth. You are divine infinite source. I have been rather quiet in lieu of all the things that have been going on in the world right now. I've decided to tell you a story, since I consider myself to be a divine storyteller. And this is a story that has nothing to do with what's going on our planet. But it has to do with a planet X in a galaxy far, far, far away. So take a deep breath, breathing in I am, and exhale, infinite. And one more time, breathing in I am, and exhale, infinite. And listen to this beautiful story of a planet, a beautiful, beautiful planet, where there was a beautiful queen, Queen Infinite, who reigned with love over this beautiful planet X. And everyone was free to tell their stories. Whatever stories they wanted to tell, they could tell to their friends, to their family, and they had a special platform where they could tell their stories to anyone who wanted to hear. They were free. And then one day, a very evil imposter king came to Planet X, and he took the throne away from the beautiful, loving queen. And he made a rule that nobody could tell their stories anymore unless he approved them. So the storytellers could not tell their stories anymore. Only one story was being told, and that was the king's story. And to make matters worse, and to ensure that people would not tell their stories to people while they were walking around, they had to stay inside their homes and could only go out if they were chewing bubble gum. And they had to chew their bubble gum all the time and blow bubbles so they wouldn't talk to other people and tell their stories. So some people didn't want to do that, but they had to in order to go into places, to go shopping, to buy food, to get the things they needed. So they would put in their bubble gum, unchew it, and blow a bubble. So after a while, people started to fight with each other about who was blowing the biggest bubbles, what color their chewing gum or bubble gum was, where it came from, if they were chewing it right. And so while they were fighting with each other all about the bubble gum, the king was blowing his own big bubble all around Planet X. But nobody even noticed because they were so busy chewing their bubble gum and fighting over who was chewing bubble gum, if they were chewing it right, what color their bubble gum was, Where did their bubblegum come from? Was it the right brand? Meanwhile, the king had also told people, I forgot to tell you this part. He told everyone that they had to chew bubblegum because there was this deadly gas leak that was coming from somewhere in the planet. They didn't know where. But every day there would be a new leak somewhere in the planet, all over. So everyone had to really be careful and chew their bubblegum. And then he said, in order to not die from this gas leak, you have to eat this very special kind of candy. So everyone was like, okay, I don't want to die. I want to eat this candy. Where's the candy? Give me the candy. And they started eating the candy. But some people didn't want to eat the candy because they didn't think it was good candy. So then they started fighting over who was going to eat the candy and who wasn't going to eat the candy. And meanwhile, all the time they were fighting over bubblegum and candy, the evil king of tyranny was blowing up this big bubble around planet X. And what the people didn't know was in this bubble, he had put little pieces all around, little pieces of weapons, actually weapons. And they worked in a bad way. They made the planet not healthy, and the people on the planet sick. And the people thought it was a gas leak. So they kept chewing more bubblegum and eating more candy. But what they didn't know is that the candy would go into their bodies, and they had all kinds of different candies. All over the world, they had different flavors and different types of candies. Some candies would make them really sick. And also some candies were attached to the big bubble. So when the bubble blew up, it would send a ray down into that person's candy inside of them. It would make them do all kinds of strange things. Some just completely, the candy took over the whole body and the person became the candy that he had eaten. And the candy started doing everything, even thanking for him or her or whoever took the candy. Then some candy made you so sick that you actually died. Yes. And some candy didn't do anything. So the bubble, meanwhile, was getting bigger and bigger, and he was getting ready to really blow this bubble up. And when the bubble went up, it had all kinds of powers in it. It had the power to change the weather on the planet. It had the power to go inside the people's minds where they had eaten the candy and make them think things and do things. It had the power to send out this ray that would burn them into a little cinder while they were sleeping even. This bubble had all kinds of capabilities that the people had no idea. They didn't even know what was going up around them. But the people kept taking the candy because the king said you can't go anywhere unless you eat the candy. You can't see your friends, your family, you can't travel, you can't go out to eat, you can't go to a movie. So the people were, oh, I better eat this candy. So they ate the candy. Many of them didn't. And the ones who ate the candy began to change. And the ones who hadn't eaten the candy, they began to see this. And they didn't know what to do because they loved their friends and their families, their mothers, their fathers, their children, their friends, their people. But they weren't their friends anymore. They were the candy. The candy had become taken over them. And as the bubble got bigger, it was more and more deadly to the people. And the people thought they better eat more candy, when in truth, the candy was making them sicker. So, what happened? I don't know. We'll have to find out. But I think that the queen is coming back, but not to save the people, because the people have to save themselves. In fact, there's a lot of other people that pretended they were going to save the people, and the people kept chewing their bubble gums and eating their candy, waiting for this person to come back and save them like they promised they would. All these people kept saying they were going to save them. But what happened was that the queen came back, and she helped the people to realize that they had always inside of them the power and this beautiful rainbow bubble, that they all began to get together and they began to think, whoa, about this beautiful rainbow bubble inside of their heart. And the more they began to focus on this beautiful rainbow bubble, the more it began to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow until it became this beautiful bubble that encapsulated the entire planet. And this bubble became so strong and so powerful and so filled with love and eternal living light. Do you know what happened? It burst that bubble of the evil tyrannical king. And his bubble was burst. He had no more power. And he just sloughed away into the darkness. And the people of Planet X were free to tell stories, to play games, to sing, to dance, and to do whatever they wanted to do because they were free. I hope you like my story. Ciao for now. And now I'm going to turn it off if I can figure out how to do this. This is my first time doing this. Okay. Is anybody out there?